Snuff.
All right, let's take a few deep breaths before we get going here. Just kind of get into our own zone, you know? Like, life is hard sometimes. Like, I'm smoking a cigar right now.
That tree, man, that pine tree is like perfect.
It is cool.
Looks like a happy pine tree.
It
Peaceful
does.
pine tree. Is this recording?
Yeah, it is.
We are in the Jordan Peace Gardens in Salt Lake City. John has never been here, and this is the best place to get robbed at night because you feel peaceful while while that shiv is going in your back, while your wallet's being taken. You're at peace. How do you feel about this park,
What is
John?
that rock over there? Is that like a Matterhorn?
That is a mountain, a fake mountain, a faux mountain. It's made out of stucco and chicken wire. I believe it's supposed to represent what's that? Switzerland with the Alps?
The Matterhorn.
Is it a Matterhorn?
Yeah,
What's a Matterhorn?
it's a mountain.
Oh, that it is.
Yeah, it's in
Switzerland?
I've been there. I went there a couple years ago.
I think it's representative of the Swiss Alps.
So check out
It's a
this.
neutral mountain.
Check out this story. So, remember when Germany beat Brazil
In
in
soccer?
in soccer? So that's when I was in Germany. Went there with my friends, and that night I was like, I want to go out and watch a soccer game. Everybody else was really tired, so I went out by myself, and I went and I sat there in this bar in Zermatt, Switzerland, and it was so lonely. I was trying to talk to people, and I felt like they were all making fun of me. But you know, they talked to me, but they'd always be like, you know, kind of turn up their noses. Anyway, I have several drinks there, and then finally, you know, just kind of sadly going, well, I didn't really find what I was looking for. I left, and there was something going on across the street. I went across the street, and I walked in there, and they had some guys playing. It was a lot more American, a lot more, you know, English speaking, probably a lot more travelers who were there. And and so I started talking to this girl. She looked like a cross between Zenith, the warrior princess,
Oh, Xena?
and Xena. Yeah, Xena.
Yeah, Xena's hot.
Yeah, and
Really hot.
and Katy Perry.
Wow.
Yeah, she had a beanie on, and we were the only people there with beanies because I think it's kind of faux popping, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And started talking to her, and just started chatting, and it was a good conversation. But during that,
Let me stop you right there. Was she a bosomy woman? Because
I-
you put Xena and Katy Perry in a picture, so I'm picturing.
yeah, I think she was definitely the type of girl you would think of
she
being
would
more.
keep you abreast of the situation.
Yeah, but it was Zermatt, so it was fairly cold
Oh, gotcha.
too. So we were in high elevation, so there wasn't a lot of
Gotcha,
cleavage
yeah,
going on.
Gotcha, yeah.
And so we're in there, and they're playing acoustic guitars up there, and she's like, "What do you do back there?" Blah blah blah. Play some music, blah blah blah. And she's like, "Oh, go up there and play with them right now." And I was like, "No, I'm not going to do that. Like, that's crazy talk."
That is crazy talk, Sean.
But immediately I kind of started thinking, well, what if I did get in a situation? What would I do? And I was like, oh, I do Ring of Fire, right? So I kept drinking, and then all of a sudden she's like, I gotta go to the restroom. I'll be back. And so she left, and then they started to play Ring of Fire, and I was drunk enough that I just had already kind of visualized it. So I went up there and started singing, right? I get up there, and and I just kind of sneak up on the other mic. I fell into a burning ring of fire. Sounded like Elvis.
Really?
It's just the voice that came out.
Nice work.
And so I started playing, and then people were like, yeah, way into it. And so we get done with it, and then they're like, who are you? You know, I'm like, I'm JP. And they're like, where are you from? I'm like, the US. Like, you sound like Elvis, man. You played some more. I'm like, no, I'm going to go back to the bar. Anyway, so I go back. The girl comes back, and I'm like, hey, I just went up there and did a Ring of Fire, and it was awesome. And then she's like, oh, really? And then they started being like, JP, get up here. And then the crowd started chanting my name.
Oh, this is quite. This is all inspired from looking at those giant mountain in the Peace Park that reminded John of huge other mountains that he was enthralled with. And so you busted out your chops in a bar by yourself, totally hammered. You're like
Pretty hammered.
You sound like a rock star in this You sound like a total rock star. So
Well-
what was the next song that you played?
So I kept saying, no, I'm not gonna go. Like, I'm like, no. People kept coming up at me like, dude, you gotta get back up
You were
there.
like, no, really, I'm just stop.
Yeah.
That was a one-off kind of thing there.
Totally. It was like, it was an engaged crowd, more or
Yeah.
less, where they were having a lot of crowd interaction. And I just happened to go up there and sing like Elvis. And Elvis is very popular
You
worldwide.
just had to go up there and totally kill it in front of a really hot babe with gigantic boobs. And this story is getting better. Please elaborate. What happened next?
So then they brought me back up. So
Oh,
then finally
yeah.
they're like, hey, what if we did Suspicious Minds? We have the lyrics.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, great, okay, deal, let's do this. Went up there and I sang Suspicious Minds. Not great. Like, I hadn't visualized it.
Sure. Yeah.
And I was
That's
reading
a
it.
harder song too, you know.
Yeah. But, and then it got done. I went back and I could tell if I wanted to, I could take her home.
I
And-
think you could have taken anybody home in that bar, John. After you literally just pulled some Elvis out. It was like this sounds like a movie production, a great movie production.
It was one, in looking back on it, it's one of those nights that it seems like if I could have just relived that night over and over, if it would have been like a Bill Murray Groundhog Day situation,
Yeah.
that would have been the
would've
day.
it. Oh yeah, that's a great.
I would have wanted to live that over and over again.
And what prompted you just to let it all go and
Alcohol and visualizing singing that song.
Because you visualized singing Ring of Fire and it came on, that's what prompted you. So because it was in your head, felt like the moment was right.
There's a certain point when I have drank enough that I'll just go, wait a second, and I'll just gravitate towards being the center of attention.
Sure.
I mean, that's the truth. I don't, usually I really pull away from being the center of attention.
Except when you're
And-
boozed up.
Except when I'm boozed up, I turn into like Austin Powers mixed with Urkel. It's true.
Two sexy men though. They're both incredibly sexy.
Yes, I also yell a lot. But I'm not violent.
You're
And-
quite fun when you drink. Quite fun.
and I don't drink that often. And so then anyway, I went back and I was like, wait a second, I could seal this. And like any good man who is married, who just wants to know that he could pull some tail out of the bar if he wanted to, I then left, went back. And then the next day, the people I was traveling with, I was like, hey guys, last night I went to the bar.
Last night was
Everybody
awesome.
was like chanting my name, and and they looked at me like, you're an idiot. You're making this up.
Was
Like
this
that did not
definitely-
happen.
Was this the best memory of your entire trip? The most memorable? The one that's stuck in your mind?
There were so many good memories, but yes, that is the one that it was that feeling where you were free from everything.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's ones you can't plan. It was just spontaneous, and you were out of your element.
What is it?
That's a spider floating through the air.
Oh, dude,
And it looked like a poisonous one.
that's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Look at that.
You don't even know.
It's nature. Look at him go. Wow.
Oh, nature. Oh, dude, he is.
Holy cow, that's crazy. I thought it was a black widow coming at your head. That's why it moved really quickly. It's like he's
Wow.
floating in the air, but he's got a web strung.
That's crazy. I don't even know what he's attached to. I
That
mean,
would
is
be
he
a
attached
web.
to one
He's got a
tree
web.
or two trees?
I don't know.
Maybe there's a giant web up there.
That was pretty amazing nature right there. Not the biggest spider, but big enough you wouldn't want him to land on your face and sting you.
But that's just looking at that spider just floating there in the air. That's who I was that night. I was all by myself. I had nobody to impress. I knew as long as I didn't do something stupid, I would be completely off the hook. And I did it. It was nice because I went, at some point I was like, wait a second, I could compromise my principles. And then I was like, no, I'm out of here. I went back and then I told the story. Everybody thought was just like, yeah, right. You must have drank quite a bit. It was a big win. It was a big win.
That's great, John. That's an awesome story.
It was an awesome story.
It's got to be an awesome experience when you get completely out of your normal. I mean, you were like James Bond, like just crazy stuff happened. I wonder, could you capture that moment if you weren't drinking? Would you have been bold enough?
No,
No.
there's no way. I'm lucky enough, knock on wood, that I don't drink. I don't gravitate towards alcohol. Therefore, sometimes it works out. What happens also though, because I don't drink a ton, is sometimes I can get entirely too drunk.
Yeah.
I'll save
I think
that.
I've seen you entirely too drunk. We went to the bar. It's been a year or so. There was a shoe salesman there. We were talking with.
I
think
wasn't too drunk.
You weren't too drunk?
No.
I think I was pretty sober.
Yeah.
I've been sober for a month and a half now. I haven't had anything to drink, and I don't really miss drinking.
Why?
Every time I've drank the last couple years, I just feel like crap the next day. I feel drained and I just don't feel good. It doesn't do anything. I've enjoyed drinking for a number of years, but I'm just probably getting old. Either my body can't handle it, or just not my gig. Maybe I'll drink sometime in the future, but I think I'm gonna go sober for quite a while until something compels me to want to feel some horrible pain, which I'm in plenty of pain right now. So my tolerance is, my pain and my time is all used up. So I'm gonna just not drink.
Okay. Welcome to the Post Reality Podcast.
That was a great opening.
That was choice.
John, I'm gonna tie your story into our topic.
All right.
Our topic today is, where do you get your news from, and why? But I want to make a point. You were out of your element. You're out of your comfort zone, and it let you do something extraordinary, let you experience something without the normal social pressures that you would feel to, be embarrassed. And I think that's a good example of how let's say the news pushes you in a direction, makes you act a certain way, like social pressure. When John didn't have that social pressure, he was free to be literally a rock star, a boozed up rock star, but nonetheless he was out of his element, different environment. He wasn't gonna, if he did make a fool out of himself, his friends wouldn't have been there to see it, so he was free. So I'm gonna tie that into, John, where do you get your news from?
Let's go back.
All right.
Let's go back to 0 to 10 years old. Where did I get my news from? At that point, I don't know as if I watched a whole lot of news.
Probably didn't.
Well, yeah, because I watched cartoons and things like that.
See, cartoons, yeah.
And when I was young, actually, I'll just tell you, the TV I watched prior to being 10, that I remember getting home from school watching, like, Gilligan's Island.
Oh, I love Gilligan's Island.
Bewitched.
Oh gosh, Bewitched, me too. Holy cow, John, it's like we lived in the same universe.
I Dream of Jeannie.
I did, yes, I dreamed of her all the time.
And I'd watch a little bit of Cheers. Like, I was little, but Cheers was kind of like the Seinfeld.
Cheers was like the adult thing I could try to watch. I never got into Cheers, but my dad watched it. And MASH. Man, what about MASH? My dad watched MASH, so I would watch a little MASH. And that wasn't my gig either.
Yeah, I remember MASH. I didn't watch MASH a whole lot, but very aware of MASH. And so 0 to 10, that's what I remember consuming on television. What about you, Micah?
I would say you hit it this exact same, except Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes were probably a big influence on what I, just the ideas in my head. Bugs Bunny especially. I think